All business leaders today have concerns with productivity levels. Individual performance is one of the key factors that impact organizational productivity. Today's topic, high performance leadership, will examine the theories and practices that will enable you to maximize on your human investment by getting your people to perform to their very best. Let's begin by clarifying and defining some of the terms we will use throughout this presentation. There are two common perceptions on leadership. Many people see a leader as someone who is appointed as head of a group, team, or organization. Others see a leader as a charismatic person who is able to make good decisions and inspire others. For the purposes of this discussion, we define leaders as people that have earned the respect and support of others who are willing to follow their example and take direction from them. Leadership involves directing, guiding, and influencing the opinions, decisions, and actions of others towards the achievement of established goals and objectives. Performance is the execution of a given set of activities towards the accomplishment of specific goals and objectives. Performance management is a systematic process for measuring and improving organizational performance against established preset standards of accuracy and completeness. Not to be confused with performance leadership, performance management is a measuring tool and process, whereas performance leadership is the promotion and facilitation of the highest levels of effort and achievement by organizational leaders. What is expected of a leader? We've identified 4 functions that a leader is expected to deliver: decision making, engaging and influencing people, equipping and developing people, and problem solving. We've combined 2 and 3 into one classification of team building. Starting with decision making, we will discuss these leadership functional areas in order to identify the competencies and habits of high performance leaders. What is a decision? Our definition of a decision is the cognitive selection of a specific course of action by an individual or group. It is important that we clarify the difference between a decision and an idea. An idea is a thought or suggestion as to a possible course of action. An idea can also be an opinion or belief. As leaders, we must be careful to ensure that we implement decisions and not run with ideas. There are 3 kinds of business decisions. There are strategic decisions that involve plans and directions, operational decisions that involve the day-to-day management of resources and people, and problem-solving decisions. Problem-solving involves treating with day-to-day challenges, whether they are strategic in nature or operational in nature. Business decisions are generally arrived at in one of 2 ways: by an individual of authority or through the collaborative efforts of a group. So what are the competencies required for effective decision making? First and foremost, intelligence. In his book, The Eighth Habit, Stephen Covey outlined 4 classifications of human intelligence. 1, mental intelligence or IQ, 2, physical intelligence PQ, 3, emotional intelligence or EQ, and 4, spiritual intelligence or SQ. These 4 classifications of intelligence contribute towards organizational decision-making and outcomes in different ways. Mental intelligence or IQ corresponds to academic knowledge. It helps the institution with respect to growth and development. PQ or physical intelligence relates to the body and health. Many progressive organizations are embracing the idea of PQ and investing in this area as they come to realize that availability is the best ability, and healthy people are generally available for work. EQ, or emotional intelligence, is the ability to understand and control one's own emotions and to recognize and differentiate other people's emotional states and appropriately use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior in interactive situations. To put it simply, EQ helps us build and maintain healthy relationships. Covey identified spiritual intelligence as the central and most fundamental of all intelligence as it becomes the source of guidance for the others. Spiritual intelligence encompasses our drive for meaning, purpose, and connectivity. Companies that embrace the science of SI will make decisions that are ethical and reflective of social responsibility. They will also have employees that are more engaged and committed to organizational goals and objectives. The effective use of these four classifications of intelligence will enable leaders to make sound business decisions. General George Patton made the following comment about decision making. The time to take counsel of your fears is before you make an important battle decision. That's the time to listen to every fear you can imagine. When you've collected all the facts and fears and made your decision, turn off all your fears and go ahead. Patton's comment highlights the importance of holistic thinking and planning. We have compiled a short list of some of the things business leaders should consider before making a decision. Costs, resource availability, time frames, legal implications, the capacity and competence of the organization, HR and IR implications, logistic implications, and stakeholder impact. Isaac Asimov stated, "It is change, continuing and inevitable change, that is the dominant factor in society today. No sensible decision can be made any longer without taking into account not only the world as it is, but the world as it will be." Asimov was speaking to big picture thinking and planning. Failure to consider all relevant and available information before making a decision means you're running with an idea. Many corporate decisions are made in a group or collaborative setting. Group decisions can be extremely challenging for some leaders. Marvin Weisbord stated, "Teamwork is the quintessential contradiction of a society grounded in individual achievement." Weisbord is speaking to the challenge that most leaders face in finding the balance between organizational agenda and personal agenda. Those pursuing individual agendas use cognitive biases to hijack business decisions. Cognitive biases are manipulative strategies that group members use to sway decisions in their favor. Second only to poor or insufficient information, cognitive biases are the biggest contributor to erroneous business decisions. These practices are the favorite tools of individuals that are resistant to change initiatives. Here are some examples of common cognitive biases. Selective data evidence. The gathering of facts that support certain conclusions while disregarding other facts that may point to different conclusions. Selective perception. The screening out of information that does not support one's personal view or agenda. Selective support. Much like in party politics, members give support only to those that make points that would benefit their personal agendas. Source credibility bias, the opposite of selective support. With this practice, one undermines the credibility of anyone making a point that does not support their personal agenda. Pessimism bias, taking a problematic approach to incompatible suggestions and offering no solutions. Optimism bias is projecting a problem free perception of ideas that are aligned with one's personal agenda. Individuals frequently use these tactics to influence and sway decisions towards their personal agenda. Leaders of decision making teams must recognize and neutralize cognitive bias practices or risk making poor or inappropriate decisions. The key to neutralizing these damaging practices is regaining focus. Decision engineering is one approach companies are taking to neutralize the practices of cognitive bias. Decision engineering takes a structured approach and applies best practices to making complex business decisions. So let's do a recap of the process and principles of effective decision making. The 4 key steps for effective decision making are: 1. Gain a clear understanding of the purpose and objectives. 2. Obtain all available and relevant information. 3. Analyze this information, giving full consideration to all impact factors. And 4. Identify and assess solution options and make the best choice. The principles of effective decision making are as follows: consider the big picture, be informed, be objective, be confident, be open minded, be fair and impartial, and be discerning. Now let's take a look at the second functional area of leadership: team building. The most important performance leadership competency is team building. Employees and team members in today's corporate world require respect, results, recognition, and reward. Organizations with leadership models that deliver these expectations will achieve commitment level performance and improve productivity. So let's look at the 4 leadership prerequisites for effective team building. 1. Vision. The leader must be clear on the team's purpose, goals, objectives, and destination. 2. Recruit. Leaders must be able to attract, retain, and engage talented supporters. Next, equip. Leaders must be clear on the roles, responsibilities, and reporting relationships of each team member and place team members in the best positions for success. And last, engage. Leaders must establish agreement and commitment from all members to achieving goals and objectives. Let's clarify 2 terms that distinguish leaders from great leaders. The terms are follower and supporter. What is a follower? A follower is someone who is guided by another person or group, someone who does what they are told to do. A supporter is a person who approves of and assists a leadership figure, group, or movement, an advocate or backer. So what is the key difference between a follower and supporter? Supporters are informed. Supporters understand the vision, mission, and objectives of the team and are in a position to assist in the decision-making process or in solving problems that may arise. Followers do what they're told. Supporters are engaged and have a stake in the team's overall success. Great leaders build teams of supporters. A great deal of a leader's ability to attract and engage supporters is determined by their leadership style. I once attended a presentation on leadership by Malcolm Gladwell, where he was asked, "What is the best leadership style?" His response was, "The style that is appropriate for the organization." Conventional teachings recognize three leadership styles: autocratic, democratic, and laissez faire. Recent studies of leadership styles gave rise to other descriptions, such as the coercive leader, the servant leader, and the pace setting leader. Gladwell's response suggests that some leadership styles may be more successful in certain environments than in others. Consequently, some industries will establish their own leadership models. A leadership model is an accepted method of leadership based on cultural and environmental norms. One example would be the military. A military environment has a top-down leadership and decision-making approach. Therefore, a coercive or autocratic leadership style would be more appropriate in this environment than in a corporate environment. The dominance of this style in military and paramilitary organizations eventually establish coercive leadership models. In his book, The 360 Leader, John Maxwell, an advocate of the 360 leadership model and the servant leadership style, suggests that the middle of an organization is the best place for organizational leadership to reside. This stands to reason, as middle managers are best positioned to have the highest impact on organizational performance. They may be the only group that has access to both key strategic information and direct influence over operational staff. Elements of leadership must be evident throughout the entire organization to maximize productivity. Leaders must understand their personal leadership style and their organization's leadership model, and apply this knowledge to their team building efforts. Professional sports is one industry where performance leadership is applied throughout. In developing this program, we conducted a case study of the leadership strategies and practices of championship dynasties in professional sports. This is one of the few areas where reward is tied solely to performance. Political and social factors and personal biases play far less of a role in the areas of reward and opportunities than they do in corporate environments. Jobs and compensation are determined by your ability to win. Michael Jordan, one of the most successful athletes the world has ever seen, and arguably the most talented basketball player to ever step on a court, once stated, "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships." Jordan joined the Bulls in 1984 and was a tremendous talent from day one. But he has always acknowledged that it wasn't until Phil Jackson joined the team as coach in '89 and combined his intelligence and leadership skills with Jordan's talents that the team was able to go on and win 6 championships over the course of 8 years. We looked at the leadership styles and models of several championship dynasties in professional sports. And although we can't share all the statistical data in this presentation, we will summarize our findings. Although they belong to the same industry, these leaders applied different leadership styles and models to building their team. They all took different paths, but all ended up with performance-driven cultures and champions. The dominant team-building models were those of system, talent, and identity. Leaders would use one or a combination of these factors to establish a team foundation. The most successful leaders had 3 traits in common. They were visionary, they were excellent communicators and motivators, and they were masters of engagement. These leaders had a clear understanding of where they wanted the team to go and how they were going to get there. They were able to effectively communicate their plans and build cohesive and committed teams with members from a wide range of social and cultural backgrounds. So here are the keys to building a high-performance team. 1. Develop a vision and a strategic plan or roadmap. 2. You must understand and apply the appropriate leadership style, model, and decision-making approach. 3. You must build a team of supporters by sharing your vision and plan. And 4, you must engage and motivate your supporters using your emotional and spiritual intelligence. Now we will briefly discuss the third functional area, problem solving. Albert Einstein once said, if I had 60 minutes to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes defining it and 5 minutes solving it. It is much easier to solve a problem when we have a full understanding of it. Two of the biggest challenges to organizational problem solving are objectivity and long-term thinking. High-performance leaders take a solution-oriented approach to problem solving by looking at root cause and solution options. These leaders tend to ask why and how and avoid the blame game of constantly asking who. Quick fixes and patchwork should also be avoided as they only create bigger problems in the future. These are the key steps to effective problem solving. Acknowledge and define the problem. Then determine the root cause. This does not mean identifying someone to blame. After determining the root cause, identify the solution options that are available. Assess the pros and cons of those solution options and implement the appropriate solution. It is always beneficial to involve your supporters in the problem-solving process. Quite often, it is those on the front line that have a clear understanding of what caused the problems and what the possible solutions would be. I will close by highlighting the key characteristics of high-performance leaders. 1. They're visionary. They have clear goals and objectives and set high but achievable standards. 2. They are analytic. They are able to understand all the factors and variables that influence the achievement of goals. 3. They are strategic. They are able to develop effective plans and solutions very quickly. 4. They are expressive. They are able to get all team members to clearly understand team objectives, their roles and responsibilities, and are able to effectively use team feedback and input in decision making. 5. They are honorable. They are able to earn the trust of all their team members and to promote trust and confidence within the team. And 6. They're confident. They have enough self-confidence to develop supporters without feeling threatened, and they're comfortable enough to learn from their subordinates. I thank you for your time and attention and hope that this information proves useful in your efforts to build a high-performance organization.